Welcome, fellow dreamers and curious minds, to another episode of Sleepy Scientist. I'm your host, and tonight we're embarking on a gentle journey through the most extraordinary and bizarre corners of the animal kingdom. Soft yawn. As the day winds down and your eyelids grow heavy, let's explore the weird and wonderful world of animal oddities together. From creatures that seem almost too strange to be real, to behaviors that would make even the most imaginative storyteller pause in wonder. Tonight, we'll meet animals that defy logic, challenge our understanding of biology, and remind us that nature is far more creative than any human imagination could ever be. So settle into your favorite spot, pull up that cozy blanket, and let your mind wander as we discover the marvelous mysteries that await us in the animal kingdom. Gentle pause with soft background music. Segment 1. The Immortal JLYFISH. Our first stop takes us to the depths of the ocean, where one of nature's most remarkable creatures quietly performs what can only be described as magic. Meet Octopuses dorni, better known as the immortal jellyfish. Soft ocean sounds. Picture, if you will, a jellyfish no bigger than a pinky nail, translucent and delicate, drifting through the Mediterranean waters. This tiny creature possesses what humans have sought for millennia, the secret to eternal life. When faced with physical damage, starvation, or old age, instead of dying, this remarkable jellyfish simply reverses its aging process through a process called transdifferentiation. The immortal jellyfish transforms its adult cells back into juvenile cells, essentially rewinding its biological clock. It's as if a butterfly could transform back into a caterpillar, then grow up to become a butterfly again, repeating this cycle indefinitely. Gentle, bubbling sounds. Scientists first discovered this phenomenon in the 1990s, and it has fascinated researchers ever since. The jellyfish begins as a polyp attached to the ocean floor, develops into a medusa, the familiar bell-shaped jellyfish we recognize. And when stress or aging threatens its existence, it simply settles back down to the seafloor and transforms back into a polyp. This process can theoretically continue forever, making Octopuses dorni biologically immortal. Of course, in the wild, these jellyfish still face predators and disease, but their potential for eternal life remains one of nature's most extraordinary gifts. Soft pause. As you drift towards sleep tonight, imagine floating weightlessly, like these immortal jellyfish, time moving differently around you, each moment stretching into peaceful eternity. Segment 2. The architectural genius. BOWRDS. From the timeless depths of the ocean, we travel to the forests and woodlands of Australia and New Guinea, where some of nature's most talented artists live. The bowerbirds, particularly the males, are renowned for their extraordinary architectural abilities and aesthetic sensibilities. Gentle forest sounds, distant bird calls. These remarkable birds don't just build nests, they create elaborate structures called bowers, which serve as courtship displays to attract potential mates. The male bowerbird is both architect and interior designer, spending months constructing and decorating these magnificent structures. The satin bowerbird, with its glossy blue-black plumage, shows a particular fondness for blue objects. He'll collect bottle caps, plastic fragments, flowers, feathers, and even steal blue items from human settlements to decorate his bower. The structure itself is like a carefully planned garden pavilion, with two parallel walls of sticks creating an avenue, meticulously arranged and maintained. Soft rustling sounds, but the artistry doesn't stop there. Some bowerbird species create what can only be described as optical illusions. The great bowerbird arranges objects in his bower by size, with smaller items placed closer to the viewing area and larger ones farther away. This creates a forced perspective that makes the male appear larger and more impressive to visiting females. The Vogelkop bowerbird of New Guinea constructs cone-shaped huts with front lawns decorated in the most extraordinary patterns. Each male has his own artistic style. Some prefer geometric arrangements, others create seemingly random artistic displays. They organize their collections by color and type, piles of red berries here, Arrangements of blue flowers there, carefully sorted beetles and shells in between. Gentle pause. These birds understand concepts that took humans millennia to develop: perspective, color theory, and aesthetic arrangement. They're true artists of the animal kingdom, creating beauty for its own sake, transforming simple forest materials into works of art that would make any human decorator envious. As you settle deeper into relaxation, picture these dedicated artists, patiently arranging and rearranging their masterpieces, finding joy in the simple act of creating something beautiful. Segment 3. The Dancing Plague. Honeybee Comunicated. Io and our journey continues to the bustling world of honeybees, where one of nature's most sophisticated forms of communication takes place. In the darkness of the hive, worker bees perform an intricate dance that would impress any choreographer. Soft buzzing sounds. When a scout bee discovers a promising source of nectar, she returns to the hive with more than just a full stomach. She brings a detailed map encoded in movement. The waggle dance, as scientists call it, is a remarkable form of communication that conveys precise information about distance, direction, and quality of food sources. Picture the interior of a beehive, a vertical surface of hexagonal cells where hundreds of bees cluster together. The scout bee begins her performance in the center of this natural amphitheater. If the food source is relatively close, within about 100 yards, she performs a simple round dance, moving in circles to indicate that nectar is nearby. Gentle, rhythmic sounds. But for more distant treasures, the bee performs the famous waggle dance. She moves in a figure-8 pattern, with the straight run in the middle being the most crucial part. The angle of this straight run, relative to vertical, indicates the direction of the food source relative to the sun. If she runs straight up, the food is directly toward the sun. If she runs at a 40-degree angle to the right of vertical, forager bees know to fly 40 degrees to the right of the sun. The duration of the waggle run indicates distance, roughly 1 second of dancing for every kilometer to the food source. The intensity of her waggling and the vigor of her dance communicate the quality of the nectar source. A bee that has found exceptionally rich nectar will dance with more enthusiasm, recruiting more workers to visit her discovery. Soft pause. But perhaps most remarkably, the dancing bee also shares samples of the nectar she's collected, allowing other bees to learn the specific scent they should search for. It's a complete communication system, map, recommendation, and sample all in one elegant performance. Some bees even perform tremble dances. When the hive is overwhelmed with incoming nectar, essentially communicating, we need more processing help, not more foragers. This sophisticated communication system helps the entire colony operate as a superorganism, making collective decisions about resource allocation. Gentle buzzing fades as your own thoughts begin to slow and dance into dream-like patterns. Imagine these tiny creatures sharing their discoveries through movement, each dance a story, each story a gift to the community. The deep-sea vampire-esque. Now we descend into the deepest, darkest parts of our oceans, to a realm where sunlight never penetrates and pressure would crush any surface dweller. Here, in the midnight zone of the sea, lives one of the most misunderstood creatures on Earth, the vampire squid. Deep, mysterious underwater sounds. Despite its fearsome name, Vampiroleuthis infernalis, literally vampire squid from hell, is neither a vampire nor technically a squid. This remarkable creature is actually quite gentle, feeding primarily on marine snow. The constant shower of organic debris that drifts down from the upper layers of the ocean. Picture a creature about the size of a football, with a gelatinous, almost translucent body that seems to glow with an inner light. Its most striking feature is its ability to turn itself inside out when threatened, revealing rows of spines that make it look like a living sea urchin. This defensive posture, called the pineapple posture, transforms the vampire squid from a soft, vulnerable creature into what appears to be a spiky, inedible ball. Gentle, ethereal sounds. The vampire squid possesses the largest eyes relative to body size of any animal on Earth. These enormous eyes, which can be up to 1/3 the length of its body, are perfectly adapted for gathering the faintest traces of light in the absolute darkness of the deep sea. They're like living satellite dishes, collecting bioluminescent signals from other deep-sea creatures. When the vampire squid feels threatened, it doesn't just change shape, it creates its own light show. Photophores scattered across its body can produce clouds of bioluminescent mucus, creating a galaxy of glowing particles to confuse predators. It's like a living firework display in the eternal darkness of the deep ocean. Soft, mystical sounds. Perhaps most fascinating is how this creature feeds. Using two retractable appendages called feeding filaments, it collects marine snow, dead plankton, fecal pellets, and other organic matter that drifts down from above. These filaments can extend to twice the length of the squid's body. Sweeping through the water like underwater vacuum cleaners, the vampire squid then packages this collected material into neat little balls and stores them for later consumption. It's a patient creature living in slow motion in the food-poor environment of the deep sea, making every meal count. Gentle pause in the crushing darkness of the deep ocean. Thousands of meters below the surface, these gentle creatures drift. Like living ghosts, their bodies pulsing with ethereal light, perfectly adapted to a world we can barely imagine. Segment 5. The musical Mice Grasshopper. MACE from the alien depths of the ocean, we travel to the deserts and grasslands of North America, where a fierce little predator roams the night, announcing its presence with song. The grasshopper mouse, despite its diminutive size, is one of nature's most formidable and unusual hunters. Soft desert night sounds. Picture a mouse no bigger than your thumb, with soft gray fur and large dark eyes adapted for night vision. But don't let its cute appearance fool you. This tiny creature is a skilled predator that hunts scorpions, tarantulas, and even other mice. What makes the grasshopper mouse truly extraordinary, however, is its habit of howling like a miniature wolf after a successful hunt, standing on its hind legs. The grasshopper mouse throws back its head and lets out a long, piercing howl that can be heard across the desert landscape. Scientists believe this howling serves multiple purposes. It may help establish territory, attract mates, or simply express the euphoria of a successful hunt. Soft howling sound in distance. The grasshopper mouse has evolved remarkable adaptations for its predatory lifestyle. Its teeth are sharp and pointed, more like those of a carnivore than a typical seed-eating mouse. Its stomach produces higher levels of acid, allowing it to digest the tough exoskeletons of insects and arachnids. Most remarkably, the grasshopper mouse has developed resistance to various venoms. It can hunt and eat bark scorpions, creatures whose stings can be dangerous to humans with apparent immunity. Scientists have discovered that the mouse's nervous system has evolved to block the pain signals from scorpion venom, essentially turning the predator's weapon against itself. Gentle rustling sounds. These mice are also surprisingly social for predators. Mated pairs often hunt together, with one mouse driving prey toward its partner. They communicate through a variety of sounds, chirps, squeaks, and their distinctive howls, creating a complex social structure in a seemingly barren desert landscape. The grasshopper mouse challenges our assumptions about what mice should be like. While most mice are timid seed-eaters, these tiny predators have carved out a unique niche as desert wolves, prowling the night and singing their victories to the stars. Peaceful desert sounds. As the desert night settles around you, imagine these tiny hunters padding across the sand, their songs echoing through the darkness. Each howl a celebration of survival in one of Earth's most challenging environments. Segment 6. The anti-freeze fish, Antarctic SURVI. Our journey now takes us to the ends of the Earth, to the frigid waters surrounding Antarctica, where temperatures drop well below the freezing point of most fish blood. Here, in waters that would instantly freeze most marine life, swim some of the most remarkable survivors in the animal kingdom. The notothenioid fish, subtle sounds of ice and cold wind. These Antarctic fish have evolved what can only be described as biological antifreeze. Their blood contains special proteins called glycoproteins that prevent ice crystals from forming, allowing them to survive in waters as cold as minus 1.9 degrees Celsius. That would be fatal to most other fish. Picture the Antarctic. Notothenoid fish swimming slowly through the near-freezing water, their movements deliberate and energy efficient. Some species, like the Antarctic icefish, have evolved even more extreme adaptations. They've completely lost their red blood cells and hemoglobin, instead relying on their large hearts and increased blood volume to carry oxygen dissolved directly in their plasma. Gentle, ethereal sounds. This gives the icefish a ghostly, translucent appearance. You can actually see through parts of their body. Their blood is clear rather than red, and their hearts are enormous compared to their body size, sometimes making up 10% of their total body mass. It's like having a creature that's been turned into a living X-ray, the antifreeze proteins in these. Fish work like microscopic bodyguards, attaching to any ice crystals that begin to form and preventing them from growing larger. It's a delicate balance. Too little antifreeze protein, and the fish freezes solid. Too much, and the proteins themselves can become toxic. Soft crackling sounds like distant ice. These fish have been isolated in Antarctic waters for millions of years, evolving in complete isolation from fish in warmer seas. They've developed into a unique fauna found nowhere else on Earth, living fossils that show us how life can adapt to even the most extreme conditions. Some species have even evolved the ability to remain motionless for long periods, essentially hibernating in the water column to conserve energy in their food-poor environment. They're like living ice sculptures, barely moving. Their metabolism slowed to the absolute minimum required for survival. Gentle pause. In the crystal-clear waters beneath the Antarctic ice, these remarkable fish glide through their frozen world, their bodies perfectly adapted to conditions that would defeat most other life forms, reminding us that life finds a way to flourish even in the most inhospitable places. Segment 7. The architect termites climate control MASDRs from the frozen Antarctic waters. We travel to the warm savannas of Africa, where some of the most sophisticated architects in the animal kingdom construct air-conditioned cities that house millions of residents. The mound-building termites create structures that would impress any human engineer. Soft savanna sounds, distant wildlife calls. Picture a termite mound rising from the African landscape like a massive cathedral, some reaching heights of over 30 feet, equivalent to a 3-story building. These aren't just simple piles of dirt. They're complex, engineered structures with sophisticated ventilation systems, nurseries, food storage areas, and even fungus gardens. The termites construct their mounds with a precision that rivals human architecture. The entire structure is designed around climate control, maintaining a constant temperature and humidity level that's perfect for the colony's survival. In the scorching heat of the African savanna, where daytime temperatures can exceed 40 degrees Celsius, the interior of the termite mound remains a comfortable 30 degrees, gentle ambient sounds. The secret lies in their ingenious ventilation system. Cool air enters the mound through underground channels, is warmed by the metabolic heat of the termites, and rises through a central chimney. This creates a constant circulation of air, like a natural air conditioning system that works 24 hours a day without any external power source. But the termites are more than just architects. They're also farmers. Deep within their mounds, they cultivate fungus gardens, carefully maintaining the conditions necessary for their crop to flourish. The fungus breaks down plant material that the termites collect, converting it into easily digestible nutrients. It's a sophisticated agricultural system that humans didn't develop until relatively recently in our evolutionary history. Soft rustling sounds. The construction of these mounds is a marvel of collective intelligence. No single termite understands the overall plan, yet millions of individuals work together to create these complex structures. Each termite follows simple rules, carry soil, follow pheromone trails, respond to local conditions, but together they create architectural masterpieces. Some termite species even construct magnetic mounds, aligned with the Earth's magnetic field to optimize heating and cooling. The thin edges of these mounds face the hot midday sun, while the broad sides catch the gentler morning and evening light. Gentle pause. The termite colonies can live for decades, continuously maintaining and expanding their architectural marvels. Workers repair damage, soldiers guard against invaders, and the entire colony functions as a superorganism, each individual playing their part in the grand design. As you rest tonight, imagine these tiny architects working in perfect harmony, each carrying their grain of sand, each following their instinct, together creating something far greater than any individual could achieve alone. Segment 8. The electric fish. Nature's living being. Our exploration continues into the murky waters of the Amazon River, where one of nature's most shocking creatures literally illuminates the darkness. The electric eel, despite its name, is actually a type of knifefish that has evolved the ability to generate powerful electrical discharges, gentle river sounds, soft bubbling. Picture an electric eel gliding through the dark waters of the Amazon, its snake-like body reaching length of up to 8 feet. This remarkable creature is essentially a living battery, capable of generating electrical discharges of up to 600 volts, enough to stun a horse or power a small household appliance. The electric eel has 3 specialized organs that act like biological batteries. The main electric organ can produce high-voltage shocks for stunning prey and defending against predators. The hunter's organ generates lower-voltage pulses used for navigation and communication. The sax organ produces the weakest electrical fields, used primarily for sensing the environment. Subtle electrical humming sounds. These electrical abilities serve multiple purposes. The eel uses weak electrical fields like a biological radar system, creating an electrical bubble around its body. Any object that enters this field, whether it's a potential meal, a predator, or an obstacle, distorts the electrical pattern, allowing the eel to see in the muddy waters where vision is nearly useless. When hunting, the electric eel can produce a series of rapid electrical pulses that actually take control of its prey's muscles. The electrical signals are so powerful that they can override the fish's own nervous system, causing involuntary muscle contractions that make the prey thrash about. Revealing its location to the eel, gentle water sounds. The electric eel's electrical system is remarkably sophisticated. It can vary the frequency, intensity, and duration of its electrical discharges depending on the situation. For navigation, it produces gentle pulses. For hunting, it might use medium-strength shocks. For defense, it can unleash its full electrical fury. But perhaps most remarkably, electric eels can coordinate their electrical attacks. When multiple eels hunt together, they can synchronize their electrical discharges, creating a combined electrical field that's far more powerful than what any individual eel could produce. Alone, soft electrical crackling. The electric eel's electrical organs are made up of thousands of specialized cells called electrocytes. Each cell acts like a tiny battery, storing electrical charge. When the eel decides to discharge, all these cellular batteries fire simultaneously, creating a powerful electrical current that flows through the water. This biological electrical system is so efficient that scientists are studying it to develop new types of batteries and electrical devices. The electric eel has essentially solved the problem of underwater electrical systems. Millions of years before humans even discovered electricity. Gentle pause. In the dark waters of the Amazon, these living batteries glide through their electrical world, sensing and shocking, navigating through darkness with pulses of lightning. Masters of an energy that humans have only recently begun to understand. Segment 9. The memory masters Clark's UTCR from the electrical waters of the Amazon. We travel to the high mountain forests of western North America, where one of nature's most remarkable memory experts makes its home. Clark's Nutcracker. a crow-like bird with extraordinary cognitive abilities, demonstrates a memory capacity that would impress any human scholar. Soft mountain forest sounds, gentle wind through pines. Picture a bird the size of a robin, with gray plumage and striking black and white wing patches, methodically working through a forest of pine trees. Clark's nutcracker has evolved one of the most sophisticated memory systems in the animal kingdom, capable of remembering the locations of thousands of seed caches across mountain landscapes. Each autumn, these remarkable birds engage in one of nature's most impressive feats of planning and memory. A single nutcracker will collect and bury up to 100,000 pine seeds in as many as 5,000 different locations across an area of up to 200 square miles. That's like memorizing the contents and locations of thousands of tiny safety deposit boxes scattered across an entire city. Gentle bird calls in the distance. The nutcracker doesn't just randomly bury seeds. It selects specific locations based on complex criteria. It chooses sites that will have the right soil conditions, appropriate sun exposure, and protection from wind. It considers the slope of the land, the type of soil, and even the likelihood that the location will be accessible during winter, when snow covers the ground. But the truly remarkable feat comes months later, when the nutcracker returns to retrieve its cache seeds, even after winter has transformed the landscape. Covering familiar landmarks with snow and ice, the bird can relocate its caches with extraordinary precision. It remembers not just the general areas where it buried seeds, but the specific locations of individual caches. Soft snuffling sounds, as if a bird is digging. Scientists have discovered that Clark's nutcracker uses multiple memory systems simultaneously. It creates detailed mental maps using both local landmarks and more distant geographical features. It remembers the spatial relationships between different cache sites, creating a complex three-dimensional map in its mind. The bird's hippocampus, the brain region associated with spatial memory, is proportionally larger than in most other birds. This enlarged memory center allows the nutcracker to store and retrieve vast amounts of spatial information with remarkable accuracy. Gentle wind through trees. What makes this even more impressive is that Clark's nutcracker doesn't just remember for a few days or weeks. It can accurately recall cache locations up to 9 months after burying the seeds. That's like remembering exactly where you put thousands of different items. After nearly a year has passed, the nutcracker's memory system is so sophisticated that it can even remember the quality of seeds in different caches, returning first to locations where it buried the highest quality seeds. It's like having a personal filing system with detailed notes about the contents and condition of each file. Soft tapping sounds. This remarkable memory allows Clark's nutcracker to survive in harsh mountain environments where food is scarce during winter months. The bird essentially creates its own food storage network, distributed across the landscape to reduce the risk of any single cache being discovered by competitors or destroyed by natural events. As you drift towards sleep, imagine having a memory so precise that you could remember the exact location of thousands of hidden treasures scattered across mountains and valleys, each one a gift to your future self. Admit 10. The underwater architect's Fear. Journey takes us back to the ocean, this time to the sandy bottoms of shallow seas around Japan, where one of nature's most dedicated and artistic architects creates masterpieces in the sand. The white-spotted pufferfish, despite being only about 5 inches long, constructs elaborate circular patterns that rival any human artwork. Gentle ocean sounds, soft sand shifting. Picture a small pufferfish swimming just above the sandy ocean floor, working with the determination of a master craftsman. Using only its fins, this remarkable little fish creates intricate circular patterns in the sand, complete with geometric ridges, valleys, and decorative elements. These mystery circles, as they were once called, can be over 6 feet in diameter, more than 12 times the length of their tiny architect. The male pufferfish works tirelessly for about a week, swimming in carefully planned patterns to create his masterpiece. He uses his fins to push sand into precise ridges and valleys, creating a complex geometric pattern with multiple rings and radiating lines. The finished structure looks like a combination of a mandala and a Zen garden, with perfect symmetry and intricate detail. Soft whooshing sounds, like fins moving through water. But this isn't just art for art's sake. These elaborate sand circles serve as courtship displays to attract females. The male pufferfish decorates his creation with shells, coral fragments, and other beautiful objects he finds on the ocean floor. He arranges these decorations with the eye of an interior designer, placing them at specific points to enhance the overall aesthetic appeal. The ridges and valleys in the sand circle are purely decorative. They serve a practical purpose too. The pattern helps to channel water currents in specific ways, creating a sheltered area in the center where the female can safely lay her eggs. It's functional architecture disguised as pure artistry. Gentle water movement sounds. Scientists have discovered that different male pufferfish have distinct artistic styles. Some prefer bold, high ridges with deep valleys. Others create more subtle patterns with gentle undulations. Each male pufferfish is essentially an individual artist with his own aesthetic preferences and techniques. The construction process requires incredible precision and stamina. The pufferfish must constantly fight against ocean currents and tides that want to wash away his work. He makes continuous adjustments and repairs, maintaining the pattern's integrity throughout the construction process. Soft shell sounds, as if objects are being moved. When a female pufferfish approaches, the male's behavior becomes even more remarkable. He performs an elaborate courtship dance, swimming in specific patterns around and through his sand circle. If the female is impressed by both the artwork and the performance, she will lay her eggs in the protected center of the circle. The male then continues to maintain his creation, ensuring that the sand ridges provide optimal water flow for the developing eggs. He fans the eggs with his fins, keeping them oxygenated and free from debris. The entire process, from construction to successful hatching, can take several weeks. Gentle pause. These underwater artists challenge our understanding of creativity and intelligence in the animal kingdom. They demonstrate that the drive to create beauty and the ability to plan and execute complex projects aren't unique to humans. In the quiet depths of the ocean, these tiny architects work with infinite patience, creating temporary masterpieces that will be washed away by the next strong current, only to begin again, driven by an instinct to create something beautiful. Segment 11. The social insects leaf cutter ants. From the artistic pufferfish, we travel to the tropical rainforests of Central and South America, where one of the most sophisticated civilizations on Earth operates in miniature. The leaf cutter ants have created a complex agricultural society that puts many human farming operations to shame. Gentle rainforest sounds, soft rustling of leaves. Picture a highway of green, a steady stream of leafcutter ants marching through the forest, each carrying a piece of leaf like a tiny green parasol. These aren't random collections of insects. They're organized caravans of workers, each with a specific job in their elaborate agricultural system. The leafcutter ants don't actually eat the leaves they collect. Instead, they use them as raw material for their fungus gardens. Deep within their underground colonies, these remarkable insects have been practicing agriculture for over 50 million years, long before humans ever thought of planting crops. Soft, marching sounds, tiny footsteps. The social structure of a leafcutter ant colony is incredibly complex, with different castes specialized for different tasks. The tiny minims ride on the leaf fragments carried by larger workers, acting as living bodyguards against parasitic flies. The media workers do most of the leaf cutting and carrying. The major workers, with their powerful jaws, serve as soldiers and clear pathways through the forest. But the most remarkable caste might be the gardeners, workers who tend the fungus gardens with skills that would impress any human farmer. These specialized ants carefully prepare the leaf fragments, chewing them into a pulp and mixing them with enzymes and fertilizer from their own bodies. They then inoculate this prepared material with fungal spores, creating the perfect growing Medium for their crops, gentle grinding sounds as if leaves are being processed. The fungus gardens are marvels of agricultural engineering. The ants maintain precise temperature and humidity levels, remove contaminated material, and even apply natural antibiotics to prevent harmful bacteria from invading their crops. They've created a controlled agricultural environment that's more sophisticated than many human farming operations. The relationship between the ants and their fungus is one of the most perfect examples of mutualism in nature. The fungus depends entirely on the ants for cultivation and care, while the ants depend on the fungus for food. Neither species can survive without the other. They've become locked in an evolutionary partnership that has lasted millions of years. A single leafcutter ant colony can contain over 5 million individuals and consume as much vegetation as a cow. Their underground cities can extend 20 feet deep and cover an area the size of a basketball court. These aren't just simple tunnels, they're complex. Architectural structures with chambers for different purposes, fungus gardens, waste disposal areas, nurseries for young ants, and even air conditioning systems. The ants have developed sophisticated waste management systems, creating designated dump chambers and compost areas. They've learned to practice crop rotation, abandoning exhausted fungus gardens, and starting new ones in different areas of the colony. They even maintain seed banks, preserving different strains of fungus for future cultivation, gentle rustling. As if many small creatures are working, perhaps most remarkably, leafcutter ants have developed what can only be described as sustainable farming practices. They're careful not to overharvest any single tree, taking only what they need and allowing plants to recover. They've learned to recognize and avoid poisonous plants, and they can even detect and avoid leaves that have been treated with pesticides. The communication system within a leafcutter colony is extraordinarily sophisticated. The ants use chemical signals to coordinate their activities, laying down pheromone trails that indicate everything from the location of good leaf sources to the need for more workers in specific areas of the colony. Soft chemical sounds, like tiny messages being passed. As you settle into rest tonight, imagine these tiny farmers working in their underground gardens. Each ant playing its part in an agricultural system that has sustained their civilization for millions of years, teaching us that cooperation and specialization can create societies of remarkable complexity and efficiency. Segment 12. The Night Hunter's Barn Audible. As our journey through the animal kingdom draws toward its close, we turn our attention to the silent hunters of the night. The barn owl, with its distinctive heart-shaped face and ghostly white appearance, possesses perhaps the most sophisticated hearing system in the animal kingdom. Soft night sounds, gentle wind through old buildings. Picture a barn owl perched, motionless on a fence post, its pale form barely visible in the moonlight. This remarkable predator can hunt in complete darkness, locating prey with such precision that it can catch a mouse in absolute blackness, guided only by sound. The barn owl's hearing is so acute that it can detect the heartbeat of a mouse from several feet away. Its distinctive facial disc isn't just for show. It's actually a sophisticated sound collection system, funneling sound waves toward the owl's ears with remarkable efficiency. Gentle swooshing sounds, like soft wings. The barn owl's ears are positioned asymmetrically on its head, with one ear higher than the other. This unique arrangement allows the owl to create a detailed three-dimensional map of its environment using sound alone. The slight difference in when sound reach each ear tells the owl exactly where its prey is located, both horizontally and vertically. The owl's facial disc can be adjusted like a satellite dish, allowing it to focus on specific sounds or scan for new audio information. The stiff feathers around the face can be moved to fine-tune the sound collection, creating a living, adjustable acoustic system. Soft mouth sounds in the distance. But the barn owl's hunting abilities go beyond just exceptional hearing. Its flight is completely silent thanks to specialized feathers that muffle the sound of air moving over its wings. The leading edge of each wing feather has a comb-like structure that breaks up air turbulence, while the trailing edge has a soft fringe. That further reduces noise. This silent flight is crucial for the owl's hunting strategy. A mouse can hear the wing beats of most birds from a considerable distance, but the barn owl approaches like a ghost, giving its prey no warning of impending danger. Gentle flapping sounds, almost inaudible. The barn owl's eyes are also remarkable, though they're not as important for hunting as its hearing. The owl's eyes are fixed in their sockets. It cannot move them like humans can. Instead, it must turn its entire head to look around, and it can rotate its head up to 270 degrees in either direction. These large, dark eyes are incredibly sensitive to light, allowing the owl to hunt effectively even on the darkest nights. The owl's retina contains a high concentration of rod cells, which are specialized for low-light vision, making it possible to detect even the faintest movements in near total darkness. Soft hooting sounds in the distance. Barn owls are found on every continent except Antarctica, making them one of the most widespread land birds in the world. They've adapted to live alongside humans, often nesting in barns, church towers, and old buildings. Their preference for human-modified landscapes has made them valuable allies in controlling rodent populations. A single barn owl family can consume over 1,000 rodents per year, making them incredibly effective natural pest controllers. They hunt primarily at night, using their extraordinary sensory abilities to locate prey that other predators might miss. Gentle night sounds, soft rustling. The barn owl's hunting technique is a masterpiece of precision and patience. It will perch motionless for long periods, listening for the slightest sound that might indicate prey. When it detects a potential meal, the owl will turn its head to pinpoint the exact location, then launch itself into a silent, deadly accurate attack. The owl's talons are perfectly designed for grasping small prey. They're sharp and curved, with a powerful grip that can instantly kill a mouse or vole. The barn owl typically swallows its prey whole, later regurgitating pellets containing the indigestible bones, fur, and feathers. Soft paws. As the night deepens around you, imagine these silent hunters gliding through the darkness. They're ghostly, forms barely visible against the star-filled sky, masters of the night. Perfectly adapted to their role as nature's most efficient pest controllers. Segment 13. The Ultimate Survivors Tardigrades. RAAGS for our final stop on this journey through animal oddities. We venture into the microscopic world to meet perhaps the most indestructible creatures on Earth. The tardigrades, also known as water bears or moss piglets, are tiny animals that have redefined what it means to be a survivor. Gentle, microscopic sounds like tiny bubbles. Picture a creature so small that you would need a microscope to see it clearly, yet so resilient that it could survive in the vacuum of space. Tardigrades are 8-legged micro-animals that look like miniature bears, complete with claws and a distinctive lumbering gait that gives them their common name. These remarkable creatures, typically measuring less than 1.5 millimeters in length, have been found in some of the most extreme environments on Earth. They live in ocean trenches, on mountaintops, in tropical rainforests, and even in urban environments. They can be found wherever there is water, even if it's just a thin film of moisture on a leaf or rock. Soft water goblet sounds. But what makes tardigrades truly extraordinary is their ability to survive conditions that would kill almost any other living creature. When their environment becomes too harsh, too hot, too cold, too dry, or too toxic, tardigrades can enter a state called cryptobiosis, essentially suspending all biological processes and entering a death-like state. In this cryptobiotic state, tardigrades can survive temperatures as low as minus 272 degrees Celsius, just 1 degree above absolute zero. They can withstand temperatures as high as 151 degrees Celsius. They can survive pressure 6 times greater than what exists in the deepest ocean trenches. And they can endure radiation levels that would be lethal to humans, gentle cosmic sounds, as if from space. Perhaps most remarkably, tardigrades can survive in the vacuum of space. In 2007, European scientists sent tardigrades to space on the outside of a spacecraft. exposing them to the deadly combination of vacuum, radiation, and extreme temperatures. When the spacecraft returned to Earth, many of the tardigrades were successfully revived and even reproduced normally. The secret to their survival lies in their ability to almost completely dehydrate themselves. In cryptobiosis, tardigrades lose up to 95% of their water content, essentially becoming living dust. Their cellular processes slow down to nearly zero, and they can remain in this state for decades, waiting for conditions to improve. Soft rehydration sounds like tiny drops of water. When water becomes available again, tardigrades can rehydrate and return to active life within hours. It's like having a biological pause button that allows them to skip over bad times and resume life when conditions improve. They've been successfully revived after being frozen for over 30 years. Tardigrades have other remarkable survival abilities. 2. They can survive being completely dried out, frozen solid, boiled, crushed, and even exposed to lethal doses of radiation. They're like biological superheroes, equipped with powers that seem almost too fantastic to be real. Gentle microscopic movements. These tiny creatures have been on Earth for over 530 million years, surviving multiple mass extinction events that wiped out countless other species. They've outlived the dinosaurs, survived ice ages, and continue to thrive in our modern world. They're living proof that sometimes the smallest creatures can be the most resilient. Scientists are intensely interested in tardigrades because understanding their survival mechanisms could help us develop new preservation techniques for biological materials, or even help us prepare for long-term space travel. Soft, contemplative sounds. Despite their incredible survival abilities, tardigrades are actually quite peaceful creatures. They feed on plant cells, bacteria, and other microorganisms, using their needle-like mouths to pierce cell walls and suck out the contents. They're not aggressive or dangerous. They're just extraordinarily good at surviving. As we conclude our journey through the weird and wonderful world of animal oddities. The tardigrade serves as a perfect reminder that life is incredibly resilient and adaptable. These microscopic survivors show us that even the smallest creatures can possess the most extraordinary abilities. Gentle pause. In the invisible world that exists all around us, millions of these tiny water bears continue their ancient existence, quietly demonstrating that survival isn't about being the biggest or strongest, but about being adaptable, resilient, and perfectly suited to your environment. Conclusion. Soft, contemplative music begins. As our journey through the animal kingdom draws to a close, we've encountered creatures that challenge our understanding of what's possible in the natural world. From the immortal jellyfish that can reverse its aging process, to the microscopic tardigrades that can survive in the vacuum of space. We've seen that nature is far more creative and extraordinary than we often imagine. Gentle pause. We've met the artistic bowerbirds creating masterpieces in the forest, the dancing bees sharing detailed maps through choreography, and the ghostly vampire squids turning themselves inside out in the darkness of the deep sea. We've discovered the howling grasshopper mice of the desert, the antifreeze fish of Antarctica, and the architectural termites building air-conditioned cities in the savannah. Each of these creatures reminds us that adaptation and survival take countless forms. The electric eels navigating with biological radar, the memory master nutcrackers catching thousands of seeds, the artistic pufferfish creating sand mandalas, and the agricultural leaf-cutter ants farming fungus in underground cities, all demonstrate that intelligence, creativity, and problem-solving abilities exist throughout the animal kingdom. Soft nature sounds blend with music. The silent barn owls hunting with perfect precision in the darkness show us that specialization can lead to extraordinary abilities. And finally, the nearly indestructible tardigrades prove that sometimes the most humble creatures possess the most remarkable powers. Gentle, soothing tones as you drift off to sleep tonight. Carry with you the wonder of these extraordinary creatures. Let your dreams be filled with the dancing bees, the singing mice, the electric fish, and the immortal jellyfish. Remember that in the natural world, The impossible happens every day. And the most incredible stories are often the true ones. Music becomes softer, more dreamlike. The animal kingdom is vast and full of mysteries we're only beginning to understand. Each creature we've met tonight represents millions of years of evolution, adaptation, and survival. They're living reminders that life is endlessly creative, endlessly surprising, and endlessly wonderful. Gentle fade to very soft background. Sounds. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the weird and wonderful world of animal oddities. May your dreams be filled with the magic of the natural world, and may you wake tomorrow with a renewed sense of wonder at the incredible diversity of life that shares our planet. Sleep well, fellow dreamers. The animal kingdom will continue its ancient dance while you rest, and there are always new wonders waiting to be discovered. Final gentle fade to silence. Closing credits. Very soft, ambient music. You've been listening to The Sleepy Scientist. Animal oddities. The weird and wonderful. Gentle pause. Sweet dreams. And remember, the natural world is always more extraordinary than we imagine. Soft fade to complete silence.